Hello, and welcome to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Each week, they bring you conversations with local Christian businesses and business owners. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. The Experience Local is brought to you each week by wonderful sponsors.
Southpaw's Pizza and Sports Bar, 560 Northwest Hickory Street in Albany. southpawspizza.com. Independent Merchant Brokers, low-cost and no-cost debit and credit card processing. 877-460-4747. independentmerchantbrokers.com. Bosun Hub. Since 2012, Bosun Hub has built over 350 websites and many ad campaigns. bosunhub.com. Adams Rib Smokehouse, 210 State Street in Salem. 503-362-2194. adamsribsmokehouse.com.
And now, your hosts for the Experience Local, Russ and Scott.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Experience Local, live with Russ and Scott. And we are so happy to have you with us. Right, Scott?
Yeah, always. This is a new show for us. This is episode number 2. We've got a great guest today, and I'll let you introduce him in a moment. But I'm looking forward to Friday night because it's going to be Celebrate Corvallis. And Bosun Hub is owned by Stephen Hodges, and he is nominated for Junior First Citizen of the Year. So it's going to be exciting Friday in Corvallis.
That is going to be exciting. In fact, I have been blessed a couple of years to be nominated at Celebrate Corvallis, and that is such an amazing event. You know, it's all about the local community, and really what this show is all about is bringing people together through local chambers and through local events and through local groups. And I'm just so excited about this show where we talk to believers in business. And I love that as well. Right, Scott?
Absolutely. And it's always inspirational. And with that, let's bring in Jim.
Let's do that. You know, we're so blessed and honored, both of us, to have an amazing friend, Jim Kuhlman with State Farm Insurance, who is an amazing man and loves the Lord. And we're going to bring him in this morning and let him introduce himself. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Oh, man. Hey, ready to go. Monday morning, hitting it with the ground running.
There you go. That's right. And, you know, I tell you, you are have been such an amazing friend for so long. And I know all the amazing things you're doing, but why don't you give everybody a little snapshot? Who is Jim Kuhlman and with State Farm, and what are you up to?
Yeah, well, I'm married, got 3 adult kids. So we're in the empty nest stage, which is fun. I've been a State Farm agent for just over 20 years here in Corvallis, and now we have a second office in Lebanon. And yeah, it's been a real treat. I got into this, basically because I really felt like God spoke to me and gave me this vision. And, prior to that, I'd been a teacher, a coach, a youth pastor, kind of a bit of an entrepreneur, and then realized, wow, I get to do all those things in one through my State Farm agency. And the fact that I feel like wear my pastoral hat is probably one of the greatest aspects of getting to do it.
And Jim, that's really how we met, was part of your community involvement. Was way back when your son Curtis and my son Ian were playing Pop Warner football, and we ended up on the same team together, and we're able to coach both of our boys through all those seasons together. And that's what you've talked about in the past, is that this career with State Farm was really provided by God, gave you a vision. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how it's allowed you to be involved in the community?
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was living in New Zealand. We had a child. We had another one on the way. We were going to move back to the States. We didn't know what to do. I was trying to really think about the future and the role that I hoped my work would play in my life, and couldn't come up with anything. And I got woken up in the middle of the night with this strange, sense that God was saying I was supposed to be a State Farm agent, which was really odd because it was nothing I had considered at all. But yeah, I really came into this, I think, with a clear picture that I wanted to serve our clients, and that that I get to serve the community. I think that part of it has been a real joy, getting to serve the community, being local, being involved financially, encouragement. We live our life here, and it's a real gift. And of course, the other piece of the puzzle that has become even more significant as time has gone on is the impact I've had on my own employees, and getting to see them develop, grow, reach their dreams and goals in life, and us getting to have a part of it.
Yeah, I love that, because the impact you have had on me, Jim, just as your friend, has been awesome. And I am so thankful for all that you do. And I'm all about connection and community building. But I think the way your faith plays such an important part of that, tie that together for us a little bit, because you've talked about God waking you up and saying, hey, you're going to be a State Farm agent. And,
Yeah.
but it goes deeper than that.
Yeah, I love how my life feels integrated, that I can be me. We often talk on our team, I have a, big team and a variety of different type of people, and come from all walks of life. And we talk about, hey, you can be you and I can be me. And in being me, I feel the freedom to share, my faith, but in a way that's real to me, that's authentic, like what I think, whether it's, gosh, I really feel like, we need to approach these clients with truth in love, because that's how I saw Jesus model this, or let's assume the best and give grace, because that's how I've experienced God in my life. And so trying to, like it feels like every day I actually, what's interesting is I probably feel as much, if not more, of a pastor in this role as I did when I was paid by the church. I get to enter into people's lives. And I think because, we talk about in the insurance world, the biggest door into the house is the garage door, like auto insurance. But we also, I believe, there's this sense that an entry into a lot of people's lives is their finances. And so by entering into a conversation around, oftentimes around money, around protection or risks, or, it opens the door, because I feel like partly I'm just very comfortable in that space to engage with people about relationships and their fears and their future, and try to, it's like there's the scripture, Christ in us. By being, by simply being, I'm hopeful that there is some sense of God's presence in whatever we do.
This is this is really interesting, because in so many jobs, you feel like you're limited by being a believer. And I'll just remind everyone that today's believer in business is Jim Kuhlman, and he has an agency both in Corvallis and Lebanon. And we've known him for a lot of years, 20 plus years, right? In the agency. One of the things that impressed me about you and Amy was the commitment that you made. You're involved with Young Life, which is a great organization, very impactful in my life. You guys actually bought a house specifically to be engaged with the kids back a number of years ago.
Yeah, we used to live out in Southtown, which we love that little community out there. Had some dear friends that we'd sort of encouraged to move out there, and we raised our kids. But once they got to high school, it felt like we needed to make a deeper investment. And so we bought a house right across the street from Corvallis High School. And it really allowed us, to, be, I felt like, more engaged with that community of kids. We had, obviously, every Friday morning for, 5 years, I made pancakes for a big group of guys as they grew up through middle school and high school, and would feed them with both, some food and a little scripture before they headed off, really wanting to, impart and be a voice, of faith for these guys. And then the fact that we were so close, of course, always allowed kids to come, to our house for lunch. We were sort of that place, or after school, someone's got a little time to kill before their parents pick them up, and they'd just come and hang out at our house. And we really treasured those years. And it was a commitment, an intentional commitment. And now that they're gone, we then sold that house, let somebody else play that role.
One thing I love about your real purpose, or why you do what you do, we are so similar in that way. I mean, my why or purpose in life is to inspire and encourage people to live a purpose-driven life, to be world changers and difference makers, to get out there and make an impact and use the gifts that God has given them, the talents to do amazing things. And you're all about that. You're all about helping your employees, your customers, the people in your community, the people in your church. And I just love that. And I think that there's so many people that are missing that real why or purpose in their life. They don't really know. And I know that that's such a driving force for you. Can you speak more to when that really hit you, that was really your calling on life? Well, all that you're doing now, inspiring, encouraging, sharing the Lord with other people.
Yeah, I think even I go all the way back. I met Jesus in high school, and had some great leaders in my life. And I was involved with Young Life. That was kind of my entry into the church and into the faith, and had a lot of examples for a number of years, before it really clicked. And I remember as I headed off to college, I felt like one of my Young Life leaders, I felt like him whispering in my ear, like, hey, salt and light, go make a difference in the world, take Jesus with you wherever you go. And it really had this sense of like confidence, like, hey, you can, go create the community that you want. And so I went to Pacific Lutheran University up in Washington, and I don't know, had this sense of like, okay, I have this mandate, this responsibility to create, to sort of bring people together. And it's interesting, that first year I met a group of guys and gals, and to this day, we are all still friends, and we all still bring our families together for a week at Black Butte Ranch, and get to enjoy, decades of friendship with each other. So I don't know. It seemed like it was always that way, that I had this like it was my responsibility. Maybe, I'm a youngest in my family, but I kind of feel like sometimes that oldest in some ways my siblings were so much older. I was an only child, but that person who feels the responsibility, like, hey, I gotta, but it was an honor. It's an honor to be used by God. And life is a sweet opportunity, I feel like, to make a difference. And every day I feel so blessed, and I want to honor, really the days that he's given me.
I love it. And one of the things you mentioned was talking about how you're able to pour into your employees and in impact their lives as well. One of the things that we've talked about is the opportunities that opens up for people to come in and work with you, but also when you develop people, they move on. And talk about that, about your employee development and what that means when people learn from you, but then they also have the opportunity to leave.
Yeah, I try to really emphasize that, whatever season of time someone's with me, I want it to be a rich, challenging, growth-filled season. And so, I've had tons of, I don't know, hundreds, I don't know, of employees over the last 20 some years. And, really wanting to honor the opportunity I have to invest in them and develop them and develop, their, their leadership, their strengths. And one of those ways, of course, for some, it's even meant that they've kind of caught the vision of how this business can be a platform to build a beautiful life and serve others. And even this month, I've got team member Katie Carl, who will, quote unquote, graduate after 5.5 years working here. And she will take over a retiring agent's book of business in Eugene and be her own business owner. And it's a very competitive opportunity. You don't have to pay, but but it's very competitive. And she's, got such a proven track record here. She was the obvious candidate, even among many choices that they had. And the fact that I can play some role in helping, someone like Katie, find their career that has been as meaningful, as mine has been to me, I really feel like is outrageously impactful. Like I feel like I make, I serve our clients, I help in the community, but when it comes to my team, I mean, I have the opportunity to literally change their life and generationally, impact people's lives, because this is, for the right person, this has just been so rich. So and I've got, Matt and Will, or Jolynn, Alicia. I've got several others on the team right now who are somewhere else in that, lineup that they too will likely eventually move on. And, I don't get anything for that when they move on, except, the deep satisfaction that we all get to play a role in serving others.
Yeah, I love that you're all about serving others. I mean, that and you care about what they want and what not only your employees want, but what your customers want and what's best for them. And that means a lot, because not everybody has that. And I think, God's instilled that in you, obviously. When I first met you and learned how you were training and developing these people like Katie, she's an amazing person and friend that's going to go off and do that. I just think that is really, really an amazing thing. I just want to pause here too, because of where I'm falling in the show, and let everybody know, hey, we're speaking to Jim Kuhlman of Jim Kuhlman State Farm, who's an amazing friend of Scott's and mine and a believer in business. And we're so grateful, Jim, to have you here. It has offices in Corvallis and Lebanon. I've been to both several times, many times over the years. In fact, sometimes Jim wants to get rid of me, I think. But, I think, Jim, you have really blessed me with that whole attitude too. I think it goes well beyond just your employees, just your customers. But when it comes to the community, like we talked about before, you have really spoken into my life, and you take time for that. Why is that so important for you, to be able to reach out to people, even when it means you're not going to get anything back possibly?
Yeah, it's nice that I feel like I am in a business that I don't feel conflicted when I'm out in the community serving. It is nice that, I can do it wholeheartedly without any need, to have something come back from it for me. At the same time, it's certainly not in conflict with my business as I build relationships in the community. People need what we offer here. And I like that. I don't have any, I feel like we do a really good job. We're good at what we do, and we care about the people we work with and for. And so I'm at the same time, I think people deserve to be served the way that we're trying to serve them in our work. But it is nice to be in I feel so blessed that, even if, that I can really serve freely. And I kind of try to think of it that way, almost tithing my time in some ways, that where can I give and serve? And I love it. I think I've always wanted to be in the position where I've gotten to be in, where I can just sort of have my radar up to, where's the need, God? It's like I wanted to be a pastor, but not necessarily work for a church. And I feel like I get that opportunity here, that I get to be, a person who's, got God's ear, or God's got my ear, and I'm trying just to listen where there's needs, and then, serve, care, fill needs, fill the gap. There's just, it's pretty fun. And sometimes we're doing it and I get to have recognition, and sometimes it's the blessing of getting to do it and not, and just, seeing the need and helping fill it.
I think it's a very New Testament form of ministry that you have, that servant leader. I want to ask you some questions about your beliefs around leadership and get some tips, because I want to be able to share what it takes to be a leader in business, in the community, for over 20 years. And what would you like to share with our audience that is some key principles that you believe make you a good leader? And I know you're going to be humble, but let's see what you have.
Well, I think first and foremost, I was going to see I'm running a little low on battery here, so I was trying to see if I have my little charger. First and foremost, I would say, the conventional, I don't think there's anything, radical or new in terms of people having heard this, but I think it's a perspective that's important. And that is that, conventional leadership has the leader at the top and everybody else is below them. It's kind of this pyramid, look of how, the organization, you got the little people on the bottom and they're serving the people on the top. And of course, Jesus, flipped that pyramid upside down and said, the greatest will be the least and the servant of all. And so we try to, instill that philosophy into what we do when we're leading others, whether it's me leading my, I'm the servant of all in my team and I'm responsible, for all, or those that are in leadership within my organization, that we talk about that principle, whether they're, believers or not, that, hey, your job is to serve these others, and help them be successful. Everybody that works for anybody is in the end a volunteer. They can all leave at any moment. And so you better be taking care of them. It's self-serving on some ways, but it's clearly it's principle driven, in that's what I believe a great leader does, is they develop, they build up, we celebrate what, we really try to create a culture where we're celebrating each other's wins versus, being competitive against, other, teams and offices and whatever, but yet very collaborative with ourselves. And I talk about developing a tool belt of leadership. And there's the old adage, if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And same in leadership. If you only have, one tool, whatever it is, it's going to be ineffective in some situations. And so the path of leadership development is both to develop the tool belt, all the different ways we can help lead people, but then the art of knowing which one to use and in what way. Great tools in the hands of an idiot, isn't all that helpful. But boy, the right tool, can be so profoundly important at the right time if you have it, and you know how to use it, and makes life so much easier. And so, it's both, there's things practical, but then there's just an art, and that art comes, I think, from partly, of course, that sense of caring and, listening. And so trying to, another thing, principle is, there's, I think the temptation is to catch people doing something wrong. And if something to remind myself is, okay, I need to catch people doing something right. Yes. And I need to when I'm trying to say, deliver a message of, challenge or correction, we talk about a hero sandwich, that it's like, you need to have, the top layer is, hey, we love having you here. We appreciate you're doing a great job. We can tell you're making a heck of an effort, but here's one area that we've had some trouble and we really need to see change, and then finish it with that hero bun of, but I know you can, I know you will, I know you want to, I'm here to help. And so I'm excited to see, that you're going to take this and run with it, whatever, I think there needs to be a 2-for-1 at least of positive to negative, or, to simplify it. So those are some thoughts.
Yeah, Jim, I totally love what you're all about, because you lead by example. And I love that, catch people doing something good is something that we should all be focusing on. And I appreciate that. So that was a gold nugget all of its own. But what we'd like from you now in our last couple of minutes is to have you give us your gold nugget of the day, what you really want people to remember from this conversation, and then tell everybody, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'd say, gold nugget is, I think people, we haven't said this, but I believe that if you can capture an inspired vision for your life, and oftentimes financially, that's a big part of it, capture a vision, and then, go after it, and I really feel like that's my, kind of greater role, is helping people create an inspired vision for their life and then taking meaningful steps, towards that dream. And I think we're meant for that. I think we're fueled well for that. When we have something that we're going after, we're meant to be chasing something, pursuing something, pushing towards something, striving. That's how we're wired, Right. How many times you get what you want and you're like, I don't know. Wasn't, it's like, it's the journey, less than the accomplishment. So having that, but then that sense of accomplishment that every day I'm making strides. And I think we need to have that long-term perspective of hope for our future. I think we live in a time when there is a dismal amount of hope in the future, and that to have that light go out would be catastrophic in people's lives. Right. So and hold on to hope.
And people get in touch with you how, Jim?
They get in touch with me. They can either, you can obviously call our office, email me, jim@jimkuhlman.com. You can stop by. You can text us, on our main numbers. We're available. We would love to help. We're certainly always willing to sit down with anybody and kind of help them think through, what's going on in their life, and are there ways, either insurance, banking, investments, ways that we can help them.
So great. So great. Hey, Jim, thank you so much. We appreciate so much having you on today, and what a blessing you are. Take care and have an amazing day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Blessings to you. Bye.
Well, amazing having today's believer in business, Jim Kuhlman, and his 20 plus years, 2 offices, both in Corvallis and Lebanon of State Farm. And I can just say he's a great agent because he's my agent.
Well, that is good. And I am with State Farm as well. And yes, what a blessing he is. As you know, I'm all about connection and community building, and he is a great instrument of that. Jim is doing amazing things. So I'm thankful for having him today. Don't forget, we're here every Monday, and we're thankful that you all join us in the Experience Local, Believers in Business. And Scott and I are here to inspire you with these amazing guests. And Scott, do you have any closing words before we go?
I'll just say thank you to our sponsors for making this, the Experience Local, possible.
All righty. Thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to the Experience Local with Russ and Scott. Listen to the program on Spotify or wherever you listen to find podcasts. Join in every Monday live at 9 a.m. Pacific on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Catch the audio on KWIL 790 AM Monday evenings at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Experience Local with Russ and Scott.